WWE Super Showdown reactions. I thought the show started off pretty well with the Bar and the New Day for the tag team championships, and a good solid match got the crowd going. And then we have our second match of the night, Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the women's championship match on SmackDown. Good match, screwy finish. What do you think of the screwy finish?
Not surprising given what the WWE has done recently. I had high expectations for this match, and it pretty much lived up to the expectations I had until the end of it. I guess they're doing this to prolong the feud. I feel bad for the fans who were in attendance because you had roughly 70,000 plus people there. So, I feel like the WWE goes to the well one too many times with the finishes like this.
I didn't mind the finish too much because it further prolongs the story. What I don't like is that they already announced that they're making this a rematch on SmackDown, and they're setting this up to be a match at Evolution. So why do you put the match on SmackDown? And it's going to get to a point where you see it so many times, you're not going to care for it.
Right. And that's my biggest gripe, and we'll get into some of the other matches throughout the night. But the WWE does this on a consistent basis where in order to prolong a storyline, they have a screwy finish. And like you just pointed out, if you do that too much, your fans are going to get wise to that. And one, they're either going to stop caring about it, or two, they're going to stop watching. It is what it is. I understand why they did it. I just don't think that. I think eventually the fans are going to catch on to this, and it's not good for business at the end of the day.
Well, overall, the match I thought was good. Do you think the match was at least good?
The match was good, yeah. I just wasn't a fan of the finish.
Right. And for those that don't know, Charlotte Flair was going for the figure eight. Becky Lynch trying to grab the rope. She couldn't grab it, so she had the belt. Grabbed the belt, hit her on the leg, caused a DQ. And there was some good storytelling trying to hint that there was going to be some kind of screwy finish. Before the match even really started, Michael Cole points out that Becky Lynch has the championship advantage. She can lose by countout or disqualification and still keep the title. Then later on in the match, Becky Lynch tries to walk out with the title and Charlotte Flair stops her. That was right before the figure eight. And then Becky Lynch hit her with the belt to cause a disqualification. Good storytelling. I think sometimes this falls short with WWE and their in-ring storytelling. So good execution. I just, like you said, I don't like the finish. We had a couple of not really memorable matches. John Cena and Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens and Elias. And then one more match that it's so forgettable that I can't remember what it was. And then we have AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. This was a slow, methodical match at the beginning, and then really picked up when Samoa Joe was down and said that his knee popped, and you really thought that he injured his knee after the table spot. So AJ and Samoa Joe from the top rope fall through a table, and then as soon as the knee was hurt, AJ went for it and worked the leg. So I thought in that aspect it was good, but a lot of people really put this match over and saying it was an excellent match. To me, it was good, but not great.
Yep. And I have to agree with that. After I was reading some of the reviews and the initial reactions to this match, I was surprised at how many people actually called this match great or excellent. I think one of the things that a lot of people fall victim to is already determining a match as great or excellent based on who's in it. Mm-hmm. And I am under the impression that many people are not critical enough of AJ Styles. At least that's how I feel. AJ Styles to this point, and we're going to talk about him later on in the show, but in my very humble opinion, a lot of his recent feuds and recent matches have not lived up to the expectation that people or myself have had. If he's supposed to be the very best in the business, which is what most people think of him as, inside the WWE at least, you need to start delivering excellent to great matches on a more consistent basis. And I don't think you see that as often as you should from somebody like AJ Styles. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy because he is supremely talented. He certainly is one of the best, or if not the best, wrestler within the WWE. But to me, to call this match great or excellent, I just didn't see it. And not only did I not see it, but if people are calling it that, has the standard gotten so low where now this is what, we have to consider an excellent match? I thought it was good. They told a good story. They put in a lot of effort. There was some cool spots, but I don't think this was excellent by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. And I said this in our first podcast, and this was our first YouTube video. You could watch that video by clicking the eye above my head at the end of this video. But to me, AJ Styles does not get the criticism he sometimes deserves as WWE champion because of the lack of memorable feuds, the matches that just fall short. And in that video from our first podcast, we were comparing the championship of Brock Lesnar to the championship reign of AJ Styles. Now, say what you want about Brock Lesnar's reign. It was, he was barely there. But every time he was there, his match was the main event, and you cared about that main event. Whether it was with Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman or Samoa Joe or a Fatal 4-Way, whatever it was, you cared about that match. With AJ Styles, aside from this match and this feud, can you really name me a memorable feud with AJ Styles?
Not off the top of my head. And if you mean memorable, I wouldn't consider the Nakamura feud success. No. And this is what happens. AJ Styles gets put in these dream matches, and they try to sell his matches just by the fact that it's a dream match, and there's really no build to it. That's why the Nakamura WrestleMania match, I think a lot of people felt that it fell short. This feud, on the other hand, was a decent build because of Samoa Joe and his character work. And I think that's something that is falling very short in today's wrestling, and The Undertaker said it. Kevin Nash said it, that people just don't care about, Kevin Nash said that they don't care about the young wrestlers. The Undertaker said they need to focus more on characters, their character, instead of focusing on what's in the ring. Mm-hmm. I think both of those are true and kind of coincide with each other. Right. They don't care about the young guys because they don't care about, I shouldn't say they don't care about their character work, but they don't focus on it. That's why Becky Lynch is over right now. That's why Samoa Joe is over right now. That's why The Miz is over right now. They're characters. And, we'll talk about this a lot. There's a lot of cookie cutter stuff. You see it in one match, you'll see it in the other match. A lot of stuff happens. So this match, I think, was just like any other AJ Styles match, good, but not great in WWE. I agree. I think it was good, but it wasn't great.
I think the best match of the night followed this match, and that was Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship. You talk about classic wrestling here, okay? In the sense of ring psychology and the commentary putting things over and the crowd getting into it and being invested, and what a pop is supposed to be in wrestling. When Buddy Murphy kicks out of the lumbar check, the crowd erupts and it leads to the finish. That's what the pop is supposed to do. If you ever listen to Al Snow's interviews, he talks about this a lot. And this is what's getting missed in wrestling. People pop for entrances and people pop for basically any spot just because, he got put through a table. Let's all pop for it. This is awesome. No, you've seen it so many times. Yeah, it's cool that we see guys going through tables, but you've seen it so many freaking times. It's like, all right. And you see it multiple times in a show sometimes. And it's like, what? Why?
Right.
This match here, you got good high action wrestling. And to be honest with you, the cruiserweights and the junior heavyweights won the weekend for me. Whether it was Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll or Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander, they won the weekend. They had the best matches. And Buddy Murphy had a great ovation when he won the Cruiserweight Championship. And very much so. He's very deserving of the title. And to do it on his home crowd just added to the moment.
Yep. No, I can't agree enough. So what you had in this match is what was kind of missing in some of the other matches, and that was the investment from the fans. Now, granted, they were invested in this match because Buddy Murphy is from Australia. But that being said, the match actually told a story where some of the other matches didn't. The Samoa Joe match certainly told a story, but at the same time, like you mentioned, the lumbar check being established as a finisher that nobody's going to kick out of, the fact that he did kick out of it, made a good moment. You know, it kept the fans invested in it, so when he actually got the win, it meant that much more. To me, I definitely thought this was the match of the night. Some good, solid, competitive wrestling throughout it, some good storytelling. I liked it.
Yeah, and you know, I don't watch much of 205 Live, but after watching this, I will see at least the next episode of 205 Live to see what they do with Buddy Murphy and his title run, and hopefully it's not just win the title for the moment and then he drops it back to Alexander. I really hope that doesn't happen. Next, we have the 6-man tag match between the Shield and the Dogs of War. Again, there's some good storytelling here, and to me, something that lacks in WWE's product right now is in-ring storytelling, and you definitely saw that in this match. One spot in particular, you have Rollins and Roman in the middle of the ring surrounded by Drew, Braun Strowman, and Dolph Ziggler. And then all of a sudden, Dean Ambrose comes up after getting hit with a Superman punch accidentally by Roman Reigns. They do a nice close-up of Ambrose. He's got his face like, I'm in a big moment here. What do I do? And they're kind of teasing this is going to be it because everyone's talking about there's going to be a turn here in this match. Someone's going to turn in this match. So they tease it. And Ambrose runs through Rollins and Roman and hits Strowman and then goes for a suicide dive. Mm-hmm. Thought it was a great spot in this match.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good spot. And the other spot I really liked was the spear when Roman speared Braun Strowman through the guardrail. So one of the things I think that was important about that and what made it work nicely is the fact that the angle of the cameraman. A lot of times WWE, you can almost anticipate the spot that's coming because, you know, that you could see the other wrestler setting something up in the background or whatever the case may be. This, you had no idea that Roman Reigns was off to the side. So to see him spear Strowman before he actually got to Ambrose in that specific situation, I thought it made for a good spot.
Yeah, that was really a really good spot. I agree with you. And overall, I thought this was a good 6-man tag match. Dean Ambrose gets the win to further the story of, you know, the Shield do need Ambrose more than Ambrose needs the Shield. And I'm excited to see how this story is going to progress Monday night on Raw and future weeks to come. Our other 6-woman tag match, Ronda Rousey, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella against the Riot Squad. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, who was healed from her concussion, thank God, and Sarah Logan. Mm-hmm. Good storytelling to start this match. Who's going to start the match? Nikki or Ronda? Starting to plant the seed of Nikki turning on Ronda Rousey. Another one that people thought was going to happen. We didn't end up seeing it, but nice little tweak in there to see, okay, we're going to go down this, see where this goes.
Yeah. You know, this has been the long rumored main event for Evolution, Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey. So I've actually been anticipating this week after week on Raw or any of the other pay-per-views before this. So to actually see them plant the seeds for this, it's encouraging. You know, I guess that's the match they're going to be going with. At least that's what it looks like right now. Another cool spot from this match I really liked was the double armbar.
Yes.
So that was something that I never really anticipated them doing, but they did it, and I thought it made for a cool spot, and the crowd reacted well. And not only that, but the wrestlers sold well, too.
Yes, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan really sold that, and they did it in such a great way. They didn't go to the ground on the armbar. They actually stayed elevated, which further gives torque for Ronda to put the move on. And, you know, they're really pumping up this armbar, and, you know, if she connects with it, the match is over. And I really like how they are keeping that. And another thing that I like is that no one else is doing the armbar. Mm-hmm. You know, and we'll talk more about this whole people doing things that, you know, you're seeing one thing, cookie cutter stuff, basically. You see it in one match, you're going to see it in another match, and there's no protection of moves anymore. But let's move on to the number one contenders match The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. And before you can say, for the number one contenders match, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, the match was over.
Right. This was one of the matches that was one of the biggest disappointments to me. Main thing is, from the get-go of this feud, it's been kind of a letdown, and WWE has repeatedly dropped the ball on this. The reason I say that is there's such a natural storyline there already where they've already have a history. You know that going back to when Daniel Bryan was in NXT, that The Miz was the guy that was responsible for training him. So you have that. You have the fact that they had that one of Miz's probably biggest moments to date when he had the moment on Talking Smack where he flipped out on Daniel Bryan. That was essentially one of the things that made The Miz the character he is now.
Right.
At least got him over, or somewhat over with the crowd, at least at that point. And, you know, just the matches they've had to this point, and then the match today was definitely a letdown. I thought today they were really going to get, you know, a 15 minutes to actually go out there, have a legitimate match, get a winner. That didn't happen. Are they going to prolong the storyline even more? I don't know. So it's good. We'll see what happens, but this definitely left me disappointed.
They're definitely going to prolong the storyline because obviously the Miz's shoulder was up on the roll-up. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday with this. Obviously, the Miz is going to point it out, I think, and I don't know if this is going to end up where the match is going to be Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. The rumor is that it will end up being a fatal four-way between AJ, Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, and The Miz. But what if they do this instead? Daniel Bryan is already slotted as the number one contender. SmackDown 1000, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, I believe, are announced for a match already. They're already announced. Let Samoa Joe win that match and become the WWE champion. And now the match is Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan at Crown Jewel. Still have time to build it. And you'll still have a dream match that people would want to see between Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan, but then there'll be a story behind this match because Samoa Joe will have the mic skills necessary to carry a story for this match. That I think if Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles is the path they go, it's going to fall short again because there won't be a story dedicated to this match, and people will just get dream match shoved down your throat, and we'll get Nakamura versus Styles all over again, where it just falls short.
Right. And, you know, I think that's part of the problem. You know, a lot of people, when they want to see these matches, it's essentially a face versus a face. And whenever you have a face versus a face, the crowd gets weird because they don't know who to cheer for. That's what happened in the first Nakamura versus AJ match at WrestleMania. This is also the reason why back in the day, Steve Austin did not want to face Hogan, because you had two really big stars. If they were both faces, who would they cheer for? It would just make for a weird atmosphere.
Yes.
You have to have somebody to boo, and you have to have somebody to cheer in order for the crowd to be invested in that. And for all the people that want to hate on Roman Reigns and John Cena and all of that, that's why those two characters are so important to the WWE, because whenever you insert one of them, you automatically have the crowd is automatically going to be invested in that match, because you either really want to boo or cheer John Cena or Roman Reigns. It happens all the time, whether it's AJ Styles or Finn Balor or anybody you put in the in the ring against one of those two people, the crowd is going to want to see them either win or lose. So you have to have a good guy and a bad guy a majority of the time in order for the crowd to be invested in it. If you have AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, to me, it's just going to make for a weird atmosphere.
I agree. I think the match will be good. I really hope that if they continue this path, this is the match that AJ Styles finally has where I can say it was a great match. I haven't seen it yet, except for maybe against Brock Lesnar or John Cena.
Yep.
Other than those two matches, I haven't seen that great match from AJ Styles. So hopefully if they continue with AJ versus Daniel Bryan, that is it. Now let's move on to hopefully the last time ever. The Undertaker versus Triple H.
Mm-hmm. Shawn
Michaels in Triple H's corner, Kane in the Undertaker's corner. My God, this felt long.
Yeah, it felt long. It felt overbooked. It And if I could put it into one word, it just felt kind of congested. There was so many different... I came away from this match feeling like Triple H can probably still deliver in the ring. If he's put in there with the right person, you give him somebody to wrestle around him, he'd still be able to deliver to the caliber of matches you'd expect from him.
Right.
I came away from this also thinking that The Undertaker is definitely at the tail end of his career, which we've all known, but I also felt like they had to do so many different things to protect the fact that he was very limited. The multiple chair shots, the fact that they had to go through multiple referees, they went through the crowd, they came back through the crowd, back into the ring, table spots, the involvement of Kane and HBK. All of this was done purposely to kind of protect The Undertaker, in my opinion. The fact that he's not able to go out there and have a legitimate 15-minute wrestling match, and I don't know if we necessarily should expect him to at this point, but it was very revealing and evident today.
Yes.
And that's how I came away from
One
that
good
match.
thing about the match was there was good storytelling. They did implement Shawn Michaels and Kane in a way to further the story that, Shawn is trying to help Triple H to win and Kane is trying to help Undertaker to win. They used them both effectively. In-ring work, obviously, was lackluster at best for both these guys. And I think we're at a point now where, we have seen the end of The Undertaker as far as having a good match. Do we see him in his final match? Is this his final match? No, obviously from what we saw after the match, where all four of them are in the center of the ring, looks like they're taking a bow, like a Broadway musical. Shawn Michaels is, I don't know if he has some weird hallucination where he's just looking at the sky and seeing Jesus or God or something. Just saying, wow, I don't know what was going on with that moment, but then you see Kane and The Undertaker attack both of them, leave them in the ring. They walk out, copyright graphic, end of the show. So it looks like the rumor of DX versus the Brothers of Destruction are going to happen, and just hide The Undertaker as much as you can in this match. New Japan Pro Wrestling Fighting Spirit Unleashed. Click the video on the screen now to see what we thought of the show. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications to see more videos on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. And of course, follow us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Listen to the full podcast wherever podcasts are available.